I've loved my childhood best for 10 years. He treated me as his closest best, yet fell for my roommate. The day he confessed to her, I was there. He said, "I like you, will you be my girlfriend?" Grace glanced at me and said nothing. My heart felt sliced open. I forced a smile. "Say yes already, my best is amazing." Suddenly he laughed. He pulled another ring from his pocket and dropped to one knee in front of me. "That was the rehearsal, this is real. I love you, be my wife." Ethan's voice still echoed through the karaoke box, mixing with our friends' screams and cheers. I looked down at the velvet box he held under my nose. The diamond inside glittered so hard my eyes stung. 10 years. I'd loved him for exactly 10 years. In that decade I'd watched him cycle through 3 girlfriends, listened to every breakup complaint, pulled gaming all-nighters beside him, skipped classes to nurse him when he was sick. I was his perfect best, Serena. He'd never seen me as a woman. Until 5 minutes ago, when he dragged Grace to the center of the room and solemnly offered her a ring. At that instant I thought my universe had collapsed. Now he'd forcibly rebuilt it, crooked, wobbling, ready to topple. "Serena?" Ethan sounded uncertain. "You, not saying anything means." The racket around us dimmed, dozens of eyes pinned me. Grace stood to the side, wearing an expression I couldn't read. I opened my mouth. What came out was dry and frightening. "Ethan, are you out of your mind?" Dead silence. The smile on Ethan's face froze. "Serena, what did you just say?" I sucked in a breath, pointed at the ring in Grace's hand, then at the one in front of me. "You call that a rehearsal? Did you ask Grace's opinion? What do you take her for? What do you take me for?" My voice wasn't loud, but every word rang clear. Grace's face paled for a second. Ethan frowned. "I told her ahead of time, she's helping me." He stood up, reaching for my hand. I stepped back, avoiding him. "Helping?" I laughed, the smile never touching my eyes. "Ethan, do you know what day today is?" He blinked. "April Fool's, dear best." I turned, pushed through the onlookers, and walked out without looking back. The screams and chaos behind me no longer concerned me. My 10-year secret love had turned out to be nothing but an April Fool's joke. I didn't return to the dorm. I checked into an off-campus hotel. My phone went silent, yet the screen glowed stubbornly all night. Dozens of missed calls and texts from Ethan. "Serena, let me explain. It's not what you think, I really love you. Open the door, I know you're in there." I answered none. At dawn I checked out and headed straight to the art studio off campus. The easel still held my unfinished oil painting. It was a sea, gray, oppressive, a sea on the verge of storm. I lifted a brush but couldn't squeeze out a single bright color. The phone vibrated inside my paint box. Not Ethan, Grace. I hesitated, then picked up. "Serena, where are you?" She sounded exhausted. "What do you want?" "I need to talk, face to face. I've got nothing to say to you. It's about Ethan." She paused, "and about me." Half an hour later Grace appeared at the studio door. Faint bluish circles under her eyes said she'd also spent a sleepless night. She stopped 3 steps away from me. "I'm sorry," she opened. I said nothing, continued smearing pigment with a palette knife. "When Ethan asked me, I should have refused." She gave a bitter smile. "But I couldn't resist watching me make a fool of myself?" My voice was ice. "No." She shook her head. "I couldn't resist, seeing how far he'd go for the girl he loves." My hand froze midair. He said he'd loved someone for ages, but she was too dense to notice, and he didn't know how to confess. He thought those drama-style reversals were romantic. He wanted to gamble. He figured you'd be moved, delighted. He calculated everyone, except your reaction. Grace's gaze fell on my gray canvas. "Honestly, I envy you, Serena." "Envy me for being played like a circus monkey?" "No." She lowered her voice. "Envy that he'd spend so much effort on you, even if the effort looks idiotic." My knuckles whitened around the knife. Just then the studio door burst open. Ethan barged in, hair disheveled, eyes bloodshot. The moment he spotted us his look turned complicated. "You too." Grace glanced at him, then at me, and sighed. "Talk it out yourselves." As she brushed past him she muttered, "Ethan, you're a real genius." Compliment or sarcasm, I couldn't tell. Only the two of us remained. He walked over, remorse flooding his eyes. "Serena, don't be mad at me anymore, okay?" I set the knife down and faced him. "I'm not mad." "Then why ignore my calls, my texts, why hide here alone?" Ethan, I cut in, how long have we known each other? He blinked. 20 years. Yeah, 20. I tugged the corner of my mouth. How many 20s does a life have? I put you above everyone, what about you? You're just as important to me, he protested frantically. So you used the roommate I trust most to stage a blockbuster proposal? I stared straight at him. Did it ever cross your mind that if my heart were any weaker I could have dropped dead on the spot? Words failed him. I only wanted to surprise you. Mission accomplished. It was a shock. The air congealed. He stood like a scolded kid, hands hanging useless. Serena, his voice dropped, I'm wrong, I know. Hit me, curse me, just don't freeze me out. Looking at that defenseless face, the anger I'd hoarded for 10 years deflated by half. This man, smart enough to sweep national scholarships, dumb enough to function as a single-cell organism. I sighed. Where's the ring? His eyes lit, he fished out the velvet box and presented it like treasure. Still here. I took it, opened it, slid the sparkling diamond onto my left ring finger. Perfect fit. Ethan's eyes glowed like a Labrador sighting a bone. Serena, you, wearing it doesn't mean I forgive you. I wiggled my finger. Consider it a down payment, performance review pending. He nodded wildly. I'll exceed expectations, wife. I shot him a glare. Who's your wife? He grinned idiotically. You're wearing my ring, you're my wife. Seeing that ridiculously handsome face make a 200-watt smile, I almost whipped the ring back at him. I resisted. Ground rules, I raised one finger. 1. Never pull a stunt like this again. Guaranteed. 2. Apologize to Grace properly, dinner on you, plus emotional damage compensation. No problem. 3. I locked eyes with him, delete every last trace of your exes. Ethan's smile stiffened. They can't all be deleted. He looked pained. I narrowed my eyes. Explain. I mean, some are work contacts, some are friends of friends in the same group chats, hard to remove. His voice shrank. I gave a cold laugh. 2 choices, Ethan. 1, you delete. 2, I delete for you. He instantly shoved his phone at me. Wife, calm down, I'll delete. Watching him perched on a tiny stool, gloomily erasing contact after contact, finally satisfied the residual irritation in me. That evening, true to his word, Ethan booked the priciest restaurant near campus and treated Grace to an apology dinner. Grace arrived, looking herself again. At the table Ethan lifted his wineglass and bowed 90 degrees. Sister-in-law, I was wrong. I shouldn't have used you as a plot device, 3 glasses as penance. He called her sister-in-law. Grace blinked, then laughed. Ethan, no need. She looked at me. I'm not angry with either of you. No, you must be. Ethan was solemn. If not for your generosity I'd already be fertilizer. Order anything, my treat. I stayed silent and placed a piece of her favorite sweet and sour mandarin fish onto Grace's plate. Grace returned the favor with a chunk for me. We exchanged a smile, as if nothing had happened, while Ethan played court jester beside us. After dinner he went to settle the bill. Grace and I trailed behind. Really decided to stay with him? She asked. The guy's neural wiring can be bizarre, can you take it? Have to. I glanced at the ring I'd removed before eating. Can't let some other woman reap the harvest. Grace burst out laughing. You've changed, Serena. How? You used to swallow everything, now. She paused. You're a hedgehog, whoever pokes you gets spiked. I fell silent. Yes, I'd changed. Thanks to Ethan's absurd proposal. Bill settled, Ethan jogged over, grabbing my hand and my bag. Wife, let's go home. Which home? I slanted a look. Our home. He dangled a set of keys in front of me. I bought a place near campus, finished ages ago, just waiting for your yes. Staring at those keys, I felt the world turn surreal again. Turned out he wasn't a single-cell organism. He was a scheming single-cell organism. The apartment was a spacious flat, decorated in the minimalist style I love. On the living room wall hung a huge photo. He'd snapped it on my 16th birthday without me noticing. In it I'm eyes shut making a wish, candlelight paints my face and I'm grinning like an idiot. When did you even take this? I had zero memory. Guess, he murmured, arms slipping around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. I caught the faint mint on him, same toothpaste I've used for 10 years. My heart skipped. How did you know I like this decor? I asked Mom. When did you buy the place? Junior year. I turned. When did you start liking me? It was the question I'd feared to ask for 10 years. Ethan's gaze deepened, brightened. A little earlier than you liked me. My heartbeat went haywire. Impossible. I retorted. Then why did you date so many girls? To make you jealous, he answered, bold as brass. I laughed in exasperation. Ethan, do I look that gullible? No. He shook his head, dead serious. I thought I looked easy to read, but you just never read me. He led me to the study. Door opening, I froze. An entire wall, covered with photos of me, from toddler me in overalls being chased by him, to graduation me in cap and gown giving a speech. Every period, laughing, crying, zoning out, angry. Every shot taken by him. On the desk sat a locked diary. He placed the tiny key in my hand. All my answers are inside. Clutching it, my palm sweated. I sensed the moment I opened it my understanding of the past decade would flip upside down. Ethan slipped out, leaving me alone. I sat, inhaled, and with trembling fingers opened the battered notebook. On the flyleaf, his wild handwriting. My girl, Serena, dated the day I turned 10. Page 1. Serena turned 10 today. She cried that she didn't want to grow up because growing up meant marrying a stranger. I told her don't worry, marry me and you never have to leave home. She punched me and said I was dreaming. I don't think she got it. Further on, Serena, 13, first period, thought she was dying, wrote me a goodbye letter. I ran 3 blocks to buy pads and brown sugar. When I got back she said the bleeding stopped and tore up the letter. She doesn't know I taped it back together and locked it in a drawer. Serena, 15, received her first love letter. I took that boy to the roof and told him Serena already has a boyfriend, me. He didn't buy it. Next day he detoured around her. Serena, 18, we got into the same university. I couldn't sleep from joy, at last I could be with her openly. Then several blank pages. Writing resumed at the end of freshman year. I screwed up. I confessed. She thought I was joking and said we're best. She said she likes some artsy senior. My heart spasmed. I never remembered telling Ethan that. I'd briefly admired a senior who painted, but it passed in a flash. Tucked inside was a photo of that senior. On the back Ethan wrote, not as handsome as me. I laughed, then cried. My secret love had never been one way. I thought I was on floor 1 and he on floor 19. Turns out he'd been in the basement waiting for me all along. I closed the diary, dried my tears, walked out. Ethan stood before the huge living room photo, lost in thought. I hugged him from behind. Ethan. He stiffened, then relaxed, gripping my hands. Let's get married. I heard his sharp inhale. He spun around, eyes rabbit red. Serena, say that again? I said. I rose on tiptoe and kissed him. Let's get married, now, Jordan. The city hall clerk stared as if we were lunatics. Birth certificates? Here. Ethan produced 2 brand new booklets. Photos? We'll shoot them now. 15 minutes later we each held a red marriage certificate, giggling on the courthouse steps. Emery, Ethan cleared his throat. What do you want for dinner? Let's go home, I said. Our home. Starlight rippled in his eyes. Okay, home. We told no one, not even our parents. As Ethan put it, this was our secret. Life felt like before, yet nothing was the same. He still picked me up after class, shared meals, watched me paint. Only now he never called me Serena or best. He called me wife. The first time in the cafeteria, loud enough for everyone, wife, have this chicken leg. I nearly dumped my tray on his head. He beamed like he was issuing a worldwide announcement. I went from mortified to used to it. Grace moved out of the dorm. She texted, I'm interning in another city. Be happy, Serena. May I find my own happiness too? I replied, good. Some things need no elaboration, let the past stay past. Our life was sugared honey, until Mom rang. Serena, tell me the truth, did you elope with Ethan? My stomach lurched. How did you know? How? His aunt posted your marriage certificate on Instagram with the caption, my rascal finally bagged the cabbage. The entire Sterling block knows. Vision blackening, I stormed into the study. Ethan was gaming, teammates screaming in his headset. I yanked the plug, screen dead. He looked up, innocent. Wife, what's wrong? I was about to win that round. Ethan. I hurled my phone at him. Your mom posting our license, wasn't it supposed to be secret? He glanced, horror blooming. I only showed mom once. I was speechless. A pig teammate, lifetime lock-in, damn it. Our parents staged a joint tribunal in my living room. Dad, Mom, Dylan, Emery, 4 stern faces on the sofa. Ethan and I stood like convicts. Explain, Dad started, usually soft on me, now authoritative. Ethan stepped forward, shielding me. Mr. Sterling, all my fault. I couldn't wait and dragged Serena to City Hall. Secretly? Emery's glare cut. You nearly rented a billboard. Head hanging, Ethan offered no defense. Mom sighed. Serena, you went along, marriage isn't child's play. We weren't reckless, I peeked out. We knew what we wanted. I raised our linked hands. We love each other and choose forever, so we eloped. The 4 exchanged glances, anger melted into resignation. Dad had the final word. Certificates stamped, can't undo it. He scowled at Ethan. Hurt my girl and I break your legs. Ethan snapped to attention. Dad, promise, Serena will be my empress. Dad's face darkened. Who's your dad? Dinner was bedlam, but the verdict, accepted. Both families began planning the wedding, scheduled for graduation day. Ethan vowed I'd collect my diploma and my wedding in one breath. I called him cheesy. Inside, I was pure syrup. Preparations whirlwinded, gown selection, hotel booking, guest list. Ethan and I scarcely touched the ground. That morning we went wedding gown shopping. I stepped out of the fitting room in a mermaid dress sewn all over with tiny diamonds. Ethan was dozing on the sofa. When he heard the curtain swish, he lifted one eyelid. After that, his eyes never moved away. He stood up, walked toward me one slow step at a time, naked admiration on his face. Wife, you're gorgeous. I flushed under the stare. Just, decent, I guess. Not decent, an angel who forgot to go home. He lifted my hand like fragile crystal and kissed the back of it. How many lifetimes did I save up to deserve marrying you? My cheeks burned. The salesgirl beside us beamed like a proud aunt. You two are adorable, a voice sliced in. Well, if it isn't Ethan? I turned. A flamboyantly dressed woman clung to a balding, middle-aged man, smirking at us. Ethan's second ex-girlfriend, the influencer Fiona. Ethan's face went arctic in a heartbeat. What are you doing here? He snapped. Fiona smiled, her gaze raking over me with appraisal and contempt. I'm helping my husband pick a tux. As for you, she paused, already traded up? To a college kid? Her words were venom-dipped. Before I could answer, Ethan stepped in front of me. Watch your mouth. This is my wife, Serena, wife. Fiona laughed as though she'd heard the world's best joke. Ethan, have you lost it? Marrying this sort of goods? Say that again. His eyes could have frozen hell. I tugged his sleeve, cool it, then moved out from behind him, smile polite. Miss, I glanced at the greasy-maned Mediterranean beside her, your husband looks mature. Must come with a hefty bank account? Fiona's expression cracked. I kept smiling. After all, to dump a rising star like Ethan, the replacement must be exceptional, say, exceptionally loaded? My voice wasn't loud, but it carried. Fiona's face cycled scarlet white. Everyone in their circle knew she'd ditched Ethan because he was only a student who couldn't fund her lifestyle. She sputtered. Just curious. I tilted my head, innocent. If goods like me can land Ethan's proposal, and Alex like you surely bagged something better, right? Husband, we're leaving. Fiona yanked the man away, humiliated. The man hadn't uttered a word, but before he turned he shot Ethan a look dripping hostility. A bad premonition crawled up my spine. When they were gone, Ethan exhaled. Wife, you were lethal. He swung me in a circle. I patted his back. Don't celebrate yet. That man, I've seen him somewhere. I dug through my memory. He's one of the new trustees at school. Ethan's grin froze midair. It turned out worse than we'd imagined. 1 week before commencement, Ethan's senior project was rejected. Reason, alleged plagiarism. His design was a big data AI interaction system built over countless all-nighters. Now one sentence had condemned it to death. My advisor called me to her office, grave. Serena, this is serious. If the charge sticks, Ethan won't graduate and it'll go on his record. No way. I shot back. He typed every line himself, I watched. But they have proof, she sighed. The company claims 90% of the core code matches the project they're patenting. Which company? The new trustees. Of course. I walked out, ice in my veins. Ethan slumped on a hallway bench, hair a mess, despair rolling off him in waves. I sat beside him. It's not your fault. He looked up, eyes bloodshot. Serena, I might not graduate. Then I'll marry you without the diploma. I squeezed his icy hand. I'll support us. Tears slipped down his cheeks, a 6'2" guy crying like a kid. Sorry, I ruined everything. You didn't. We were framed. I know, he croaked, but we have zero evidence. Then we'll dig some up. I stood, resolve stealing my voice. Ethan, what does your wife do again? He blinked. I majored in art, but my real gift isn't painting, it's restoration. Oil canvases, ancient books, anything broken, truth included. I speed-dialed Grace. Her internship sits inside a top cybersecurity firm. Grace, I need you. Talk. As ever, she cut to the chase. I laid it out. Get me everything on Warren and Fiona, every bite. Done. She hesitated. You holding up? I'm fine. I stared out the window. I just hate seeing my people bullied. Grace delivered overnight. An encrypted folder landed in my inbox. Warren's corporate entrails. Warren, real name Warren, started in real estate, lately muscling into tech. His outfit's a shell that buys promising startups, repackages their tech, and patents it. Ethan's project was next on the conveyor belt. And Fiona? Warren's mistress. Her approach to Ethan had been a calculated heist: copy his hard drive, stage a breakup, vanish. The bridal boutique run-in? The opening gambit: prod us, give Warren an excuse to strike. Kill two birds with one stone. I showed Ethan the file. He stared, then punched the desk. Scum. Rage later. I closed the laptop. Commencement's in days. We need a checkmate. How? Even if we hand this to the school, they'll shield Warren. He's a trustee. Who said we're giving it to the school? I grinned. Ethan, remember your proposal stunt? Time for someone else to get a surprise. Commencement wedding day. Perfect weather. I wore snow-white silk. He wore a razor-sharp tux. Backstage, Ethan paced palms slick. Wife, are we overplaying this? I straightened his bow tie. Your proposal worked. My plan will work better. The dean opened the ceremony. The president speechified. Honor students orated. Everything routine, until Trustee Representative Warren took the podium, ready with self-importance. Faculty, students, congratulations. His mic boomed while the giant LED behind him flickered, and rolled a brand new video. Scene 1, a hotel bedroom. Baby, mission accomplished. Got the kids' code. Perfect, Fiona. Once the patent's through, that Birkin's yours. Oh, stop, I want more than a bag. The auditorium erupted. Necks craned, phones flew. Warren whirled, screamed at tech booth staff to kill the feed. Too late. Scene 2, his boardroom. That undergrad's design, steal it. Buy him out? Buy? Why pay? Destroy him, the IP defaults to us. Silence dropped like a guillotine. Every eye skewered the man on stage, now chalk white. Scene 3 flashed our marriage certificate with a caption. Congrats, Warren, bracelets of the silver variety are your wedding gift to us. Enjoy. Signed, Ethan. Serena. Cops cuffed Warren on the spot. Fiona soon followed. The university formed an emergency panel, revoked Ethan's expulsion, issued a public apology. Farce ended. Commencement morphed into our private carnival. The president handed us our diplomas, joking he'd never officiated a wedding like this. Applause thundered through the hall. We looked at each other. Every shard of hurt swept away in that single instant. Night, new house, party for friends. When the last guest left, Ethan wrapped his arms around me from behind. Wife, thank you. For what? For everything you did. We're spouses. I turned and pinched his cheek. Your battles are mine. He kissed me, relief, gratitude, reclaiming. Long, deep, breathless, foreheads touching, he rasped, Serena, I love you. I know. More than anything, I love you too. 10 years of secret longing, 2 decades of shared life. Closed not with a period but with a beginning. Days slid into quiet routine. Ethan turned his project into a startup with college friends. I opened a one-room studio, continuing to mend torn canvases and foxed paper. We leave together, come home together. Ordinary, perfect. One night I labored over a shredded antique painting when Ethan brought warm milk. Wife, still at it? Almost done. He hovered behind me. Minutes stretched. Then, Serena, remember my journal? Hard to forget. There's an epilogue. I stopped breathing. He fetched the battered notebook, opened to the final page, handed it over. Today I married Serena. She floated down the aisle, magnificence times 10,000. I botched plenty and nearly dragged her down with me. Yet she never blamed, only fixed what I broke. When she said, "We're spouses," I finally understood. Marriage isn't possession or parade. It's duty, shelter, choosing each other every day. I spent all my luck meeting her. I'll spend what's left loving her. My girl, now my wife. Emery, Ellis, guide us. Tears blurred the ink. I set the brush down, stood, hugged him hard. Ethan, you, absolute idiot. An idiot who loves in the clumsiest, weightiest ways. He hugged back, beaming like a kid. Yup, you're idiot, only yours. Outside, moonlight washed the street. Inside, lamps glowed soft. This, I thought, is the steadiest happiness I could wish for. Hand in his, until the horizon melts. Birthday, 24. Sky a gray dish rag slung over Sterling City. I wore faded jeans, white t-shirt fraying at the seams, walking the mirror-bright corridor toward the Platinum 7-star hotel. Underfoot, stone pricier than gold, around me, perfume and tailored silk. My very existence felt like spilled ink on a gilded scroll. Every stare a needle, surprise, appraisal, disdain. At the floral arch a waiter stopped me, courteous but cold. Invitation, miss? His gaze summed my outfit at under $30. Before I could answer a voice cut in, loud enough for onlookers, "Let her in, she's my guest." Riley strode over, flawless charcoal suit, watch glinting like ice. Handsome until the condescending smile. He swept a critical glance, mouth tightening, then steered me inside with proprietary fingers. "Xiao Wan, how many times must I say it, dress the part," he murmured, audible to eavesdroppers. "It's not as if you can't afford better, why insist on looking destitute?" A small, sharp pain twisted under my ribs. I said nothing, letting him parade me. Crystal chandeliers rained light, violins sighed, beyond glass walls the city glittered. I might as well have worn sackcloth. Guests greeted Riley, eyes flicking to me, whispers trailing. Riley's latest flavor, definitely after his wallet. He basked in it, correcting me for their entertainment. How to hold a glass, with champagne with caviar. Each lesson drawing smothered laughter. I balanced a brittle smile, nails carving crescents in my palms to stay upright. Halfway through, the crowd thick with liquor, a pink-sheathed cousin sashayed over, bracelet box in hand. "Cousin, I picked this for Ms. Shin, Tiffany's newest." "Not much to you, but probably more than she's used to, right?" Riley took the box, flicked it open, thrust it at me, then raised a gold bank card high. "Everyone, our little one is adorably frugal, so let me spoil her tonight." He flipped his wrist, the card slapped my cheek, edge stinging. The room froze, even the string quartet hiccuped. Cameras lifted. Riley's smile widened, benefactor turned executioner. "Shenwan, take it and scram. Should keep a gold digger like you in instant noodles, and maybe the occasional hot pot across the street." Laughter detonated, flashbulbs flaring. I bent, retrieved the card, snapped it cleanly in half. "Funny, this hotel happens to be mine." 100 executives in identical suits appeared behind me, bowing in unison. "Welcome, CEO, to your birthday inspection." Riley bleached white. I produced the obsidian black card. "Remember the North American fund you groveled at last year? Founder, Shen. Also, your firm's majority shareholder just changed." His phone buzzed, the board's unanimous vote, immediate removal of Riley as CEO. I stayed where I was, the spot on my cheek where the card had struck burning as if scalded. But the pain in my heart was worse, an invisible fist squeezing it until I couldn't breathe. I stared at Riley, the man I'd loved for 2 years, convinced that beneath the rich boy arrogance a trace of warmth still lived. Now, under the crystal chandeliers, his face looked foreign, ugly. So my independence, my principles, my refusal to worship money were nothing to him but bargaining chips, pretend purity, waiting for the highest bidder. All my love, all my giving, boiled down to 3 words, gold digger. Fine. This way, is fine too. Under every stare, every gloating smile, I bent slowly, slowly at the waist. My skirt swept the cold, glossy floor. I didn't look at anyone, I simply stretched out my slim, perfectly steady fingers and picked up the gold card lying in the dust, symbol of my shame. The instant my fingertip touched it the laughter around me swelled, thick with "I knew it and she still picked it up." Riley's mocking half-smile widened, wordlessly declaring, "See? Told you." I straightened, met his contempt levelly, then, under every widening eye, pinched the card between 2 fingers and snapped it once. Crack. The brittle sound knifed through the sudden hush. The golden plastic broke in half. I tossed the pieces to the floor like dirty trash. "Riley," I said, voice low yet razor carrying, a chill even I hadn't known I owned, "you've confused a few things." My gaze circled the frozen smiles, the doubtful faces, then resettled on him as the color began to drain from his. "First," I murmured, "this platinum hotel appears to be mine." The instant the sentence landed, the service doors swung open without a sound. 100 men and women in immaculate suits filed in, steps synchronized, and lined up behind me, postures respectful, expressions grave. The silver-haired man at their head bowed slightly, his cultured voice ringing through the hall. "Welcome, CEO, for your inspection of Platinum Group." Dead silence. If a few whispers and swallowed breaths had lingered, they were gone now. The banquet hall felt vacuum-sealed. A pin drop would have cracked marble. Every senior executive of Platinum, hotel division, real estate arm, investment branch, stood at attention behind me, bowing in unfeigned deference. That single salute smashed into every heart like a mallet, especially the one inside Riley's fragile pride. Color bled from his face in real time, the cocktail flush first, then the pallor, finally a sickly ash. His once arrogant eyes bulged, bloodshot, his lips parted but produced only a dry gulp. He looked at me as if seeing a stranger. No, as if realizing he never saw the real me at all. He'd known only the Cinderella he'd invented, the backdrop for his superiority. The guests who'd waited for my humiliation cycled through shock, disbelief, dread, then obsequious smiles that could have been carved from chalk. Someone stepped backward instinctively, someone else tried to grin, the expression cracking like cheap plaster. The cousin who'd handed me the tea bracelet earlier let her glass crash, red wine blooming over her couture while she gaped as though I might devour her. I never looked at the clowns. My eyes stayed on Riley, calm, almost kind, and therefore cruel. "Surprised, CEO?" I tilted my head. "You thought I insisted on splitting bills because I was poor? Thought I wore $30 t-shirts because I couldn't afford couture? Thought I rejected your gifts as coy strategy?" Each question paled him another shade. He swayed, kneading the table for balance. "Seems," I laughed softly, "you never knew me at all." I stepped closer, close enough to see the cold sweat purling at his temples, to notice his fingers tremble. "You kept asking what my parents did." My words were deliberate hammers. "They're gone, true. But they left me, not a begging orphan, a multinational empire worth, oh, several times the entire Quinn fortune. North American KS Capital, ring a bell?" His pupils contracted to pinpoints. Last year Quinn had teetered on bankruptcy. Riley and his father had flown to New York, groveling for a lifeline from KS. They'd never even reached the board, settling for a predatory subloan that still shamed their annual report. That humiliation had been the cornerstone of Riley's career. I slipped my hand into the pocket of my faded jeans and drew out a card. Not a credit card, not a debit card. Matte black, a hair-thin platinum edge, a single raised coat of arms style S. A few seasoned magnates gasped, the legendary, invitation only, globe-tilting UBS Black Centurion. I twirled it like a toy. "The founder you tried so hard, so very, embarrassingly hard, to meet last year?" I smiled without warmth. "Shares my surname." Boom. Riley staggered back, appending a waiter's tray, champagne cascaded over his trousers, ice cubes skittering across marble. He didn't notice. His world had imploded. The mysterious phantom who could sink Quinn with a memo was the gold digger he'd just smacked with a bank card. It was ludicrous. It was irrefutable. Behind me 100 executives, the Black Centurion in my hand, the crown on my invisible head, all testified to the carnivorous truth. His lips worked. A rasping hiss was the only sound he could still force out. I sheathed the black card and, voice gentle as falling ash, delivered the final warhead. "By the way, CEO, you may not have received the memo yet, but Quinn's majority shareholder changed hands, about 5 minutes ago." As if choreographed, his tuxedo pocket vibrated. The incoming ringtone sliced the hush like a siren. Riley flinched, fished out the phone, stared at the screen, bored. I arched an amused brow. "Aren't you going to take it? Might be congratulations on your retirement." Ring, ring. The sound scraped every stretched nerve in the room. Everyone stared at that bouncing device as though it were armed. Riley's knuckles bleached. He looked at me, begging for a punchline that would never come. At last he thumbed the call alive and pressed it to his ear. No speaker, yet the hush was absolute. The secretary's frantic baritone leaked loud enough for the front rows to catch every syllable, then ripple outward. "CCO. Disaster. KS Capital just filed, they've crossed 51% through dark pool buys. They're the majority holder effective immediately, a swallowed sob. New chairman and CEO appointed, orders take effect now. You're removed. The board wants your credentials and an exit audit, today. Click. It wasn't the line going dead, it was Riley's reality flatlining. The phone slid from his hand, glass against stone, spiderweb cracks veining the screen like his fractured pride. Murmurs surged, were strangled, surged again. He group, Taylor, finished. And the architect of the slaughter was the woman he'd branded a parasite. No gaze held contempt now, only awe, dread, and the dawning certainty that empires could change owners between canapes. I walked forward, each staccato heel beat a nail. I crouched, retrieved the 2 House of the Gold card, dangled them before his eyes. Riley, I whispered, you boasted this little chip could keep a gold digger happy for months. I flicked the pieces into a waste bin. So tell me, my glance swept the chandeliers, the silenced audience, then settled on his bloodless mask, which of us is the real gold digger, and which of us is truly Casey? A crazed animal spark flared. Why, he croaked. You had billions, why the ruse? Why hide? You planned this from day one, didn't you? I studied his collapse with Arctic calm. I told you every day for 2 years, I want honesty, not handbags. You heard only what your ego needed, poor girl playing hard to get. You never tried to know me, you wanted a mirror that reflected your own magnificence. The moment the mirror became a window, you screamed conspiracy. I straightened, turning away. Your enemy was never me, Riley. It was your vanity, your smallness, your stupidity. Behind me, James, Platinum's Asia-Pacific president, inclined his head. All expenses of tonight's guests will be comped, I instructed. Have security escort the former CEO out, and collect every phone that recorded. I want this evening remembered only as rumor whispered in the right ears. Yes, ma'am, he answered, already signaling guards. Riley was half carried through a service corridor, shoes scraping, eyes vacant. Guests filed out, heads low, laughter dead, as though exiting a funeral, his, not mine. I returned to the floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights glittering like scattered diamonds I no longer had to pretend to covet. My phone buzzed, an assistant. Press release on Quinn filed. Media assets ready at your command. I pocketed the device, gaze calm. This wasn't the finale, only the opening chord. Every sneer, every pitying smile, every Casey whispered behind manicured fingers would be repaid, with interest. The 7-star chandeliers above me would broadcast his ruin from this night on. And I, Serena, no longer hidden, no longer apologetic, would collect every last shard of dignity he'd tried to strip from me. When that seemingly solid shell is mercilessly peeled away, exposing the hollowness and wretchedness inside, collapse is the only possible ending. But this is far from enough. What I want is not a momentary breakdown. I want him to live forever in the shadow of this day, to remember tonight's humiliation every time he tries to climb back up, to taste exactly what true despair feels like. Put a tail on him, I ordered calmly. And dig up every investment he ever made with him, resources, every contact he ever cultivated. What I want is a total blockade. Understanding flickered in James's eyes, he bowed. Yes, CEO. When you cut weeds, rip out the roots, when you strike a snake, hit the spine. Once I move, I leave the enemy no breath of space. That is the law of the boardroom, and it is my style. The past 2 years of keeping a low profile and playing poor were simply me tiring of the family halo, wanting to taste ordinary life and find an untainted love. Reality slapped me awake. Since the common girl mask has been torn off, it's time for the real me to step into the light. I turned to leave this nauseating place. CEO, your car is ready, James said hurriedly. I waved him off. No need. I'll walk. To the shock of James and the other executives, I, still in my faded jeans and t-shirt that clashed with the 7-star hotel, walked out of the gilded lobby alone. The night wind was cool on my face, carrying away the stench of the banquet hall. Neon still shimmered, traffic still streamed. I strolled along the sidewalk, no different from any hurried passerby. No one knew that this girl who looked like a freshly graduated college student had just directed and witnessed the prologue to a Titan's fall inside the palace behind me. My phone buzzed again, this time a video call. I glanced at the screen, the ice on my face melted into a genuine, warm smile. I answered. An energetic, kindly old man appeared on the screen, the background a classic, elegant study. "Grandpa," I said softly. "Marin," his voice boomed, concerned, "how was your birthday? I hear you made quite a splash." The KS Capital Intelligence net is as fast as ever. Someone must have already briefed him on what happened at the Platinum. I replied, offering no details. "I settled a private score. And cleaned house while I was at it." Grandpa chuckled, eyes sharp. "That Quinn boy? I told you his heart was crooked and his vision narrow, he wasn't worthy of you. But you insisted on sampling so-called ordinary love. Now that you've hit the wall, you're finally turning around?" I gave a soft grunt of agreement. I didn't argue. Grandpa's eye for people has always been vicious. When I insisted on being with Riley back then, he'd opposed it outright, but respected my choice, only saying, "Go ahead, trip once, and you'll understand why I say find an equal." Equal means more than money, it's breeding, vision, and upbringing. "Good that you're back on course," he said, satisfied. "No daughter of the Shin family ever has to swallow an insult. Play however you like, the empire your dad and I left you can handle whatever storms you stir. If you need backup, just say the word." "I can handle it, Cameron," I answered firmly. "Since I've decided to stop hiding, I'll tidy up this farce my way and let certain people see exactly who Marin is." "All right, call if you need anything." He nodded, reminded me to take care of my health, and ended the call. I pocketed the phone and drew a long breath of the cool night air. Unmasking is only the beginning. What follows may be Riley's collapse, his counterattack, if they still can, and the upheaval of the city's business map, plus countless eyes curious, wary, or eager to climb aboard. None of that matters anymore. From tonight on, I am no longer the Cinderella who had to tiptoe around her lover's fragile pride. I am the heir of KS Capital, the de facto controller of the Platinum Hotel Group, the CEO who can topple a powerful clan with a flick of my wrist. I stopped at the Malatang shop on the corner. The one Riley once sneered was only good enough for someone like you. Bright lights, steam curling, spicy fragrance in the air. Young office workers huddled over bubbling bowls, chatting loudly, alive and real. I pushed the door open. The proprietress greeted me warmly. "Pretty girl, table for one? What'll you have?" I picked a corner seat, glanced at the simple menu board, and smiled. "One Malatang, mild spice, extra greens." Coming right up. Soon a steaming bowl, red oil rolling, was set before me. I lifted my chopsticks and ate slowly. It was delicious, honest, down-to-earth warmth you can taste. That's the flavor I like. As for Riley and his flashy world, I lowered my gaze at the rising steam, my eyes turning cold and razor-sharp. Game on. The next morning, sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Platinum's presidential suite, striping the Italian custom carpet. I stood at the window, watching the city wake beneath me. Last night's wreckage had long been swept away by an efficient crew. You'd think the jaw-dropping birthday banquet had never happened. But I knew the storm was brewing and spreading faster than anyone could imagine. On the coffee table lay fresh financial papers and tabloids. I didn't need to open them to guess the headlines. Sure enough, Assistant Emily glided in, tablet in hand, impeccably suited, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Morning, CEO. Here's today's brief and the urgent files that need your eyes." I turned, took the tablet. On screen were tidy screenshots of front pages and trending keywords. Shocking reversal. He group changes hands, mysterious KS Capital emerges. Birthday banquet turned ambush? He ousted on the spot. Did he offend a secret billionaire heiress? Marin unmasked. Low-key richest heiress hides identity for love, strikes back after public humiliation. Live from the 7-star hotel. Card picked up, card cut. 100 executives bow. Too wild for novels. Each headline more dramatic than the last. Most photos long-range shots. Inside filming was banned. Or old file pics of Riley and me. Mine a 2-year-old graduation photo, laughably green, plus KS and Quinn logos side by side. Online, the comment sections exploded. Half the top 10 hot searches were about last night. My gosh, is this a real-life power fantasy? Marin is savage. Yesterday they mocked her as a gold digger. Today the joke's on them. Is Riley okay? KS Capital, legendary whale. He kicked a titanium alloy wall this time. Only me waiting to see Marin's next move? Feels like he is doomed. Public opinion swung overwhelmingly my way. Partly KS Capital's PR steering, partly Riley's habitual arrogance coming home to roost, plus his public shaming of a woman was ugly enough to make anyone cheer when he fell. Quinn stock opened limit down, Emily added. Panic is spreading, several partners are re-evaluating ties, and banks are demanding early loan repayments. I swept my eyes over the chart. That vertical green to red cliff meant Riley's wealth was evaporating in real time. How much are we down on our Quinn holdings? Since our earlier stealth acquisitions were ultra low cost, we're still massively in the money even at the price. And the sell queue is huge, markets expect Moretto come. More importantly, we now hold control, his prime assets can be restructured or stripped at will. I nodded. Capital markets don't pity the weak, they chase the strong. His implosion has entered the countdown. Also, CEO, Emily swiped the screen, your private phone and work inbox are overflowing with interview requests and meeting invites, city bigwigs, chamber presidents, every notable family and firm want an audience. I curved my lips. That's reality, flash enough strength and the world smiles at you. Yesterday I might have been inspected like a suspect Cinderella, today I'm the connection they desperately need. Filter them, I instructed. Decline non-essentials, draft a priority list for the rest. Yes, CEO. Just then the suite's secure landline rang. Emily answered, then cupped the receiver. CEO, it's Dylan, Sam. Sounds frantic. Sam, current head of the Quinn family, Riley's father, the man who had always treated me with veiled disdain while I dated his son, he'd finally cracked. I walked over, Emily patched him through. Hello. My voice was flat. Me, Miss Shin. No, CEO. CEO, please, this is Sam. Dylan, what do you want? I stayed ice cold. CEO. Everything is our Quinn family's fault. I failed to teach my son and he offended you. On behalf of him, of all of us, I beg your forgiveness. Please lift your hand and spare Quinn. His voice shook with desperation. Any condition, just name it. We'll drive Riley out of Quinn today, make him kowtow and apologize. Shares, at a discount, just leave us a sliver to survive on. I felt nothing listening to his babbling plea. Where was he when Riley strutted and trampled me? Probably nodding along, proud of his prince of a son. Dylan, I cut him off, business is business, win or lose. KS Capital's purchase of Quinn shares is fully legal. As for Riley, I paused, letting a sneer slip in, his apology is worthless to me. CEO. Please. Tell me what it will take to stop this. Almost shrieking. What will it take? I laughed lightly. Maybe when Riley truly understands what it's like to lose everything, to be deserted by all, to pinch pennies for a bowl of malatang the way he sneered at gold diggers, maybe then I'll consider whether I've had enough. I hung up, too late for forgiveness. If apologies fixed everything, who would need laws? If begging earned mercy, the world would be far too cheap for villains. I want punishment, deterrence, let everyone learn the price of crossing Marin. Emily watched me with something close to awe. I sat at the desk and opened a file. Notify the team, I told her. Convene the KS Capital Asia Pacific leadership this afternoon. We'll draft the restructuring plan for him assets. The eye of the storm is formed, and these hands have only just begun to stir the winds. Riley, Quinn, enjoy your final dusk. Across town, in a cheap apartment that reeked of despair, Riley huddled on a creaky sofa, still wearing last night's now wrinkled, liquor-stained designer suit. The room stank of instant noodle broth and stale smoke, empty bottles and crumpled financial papers littered the floor. The bold black headline Taylor and Riley glared up like poison needles. Arg! He smashed a bottle against the wall, amber liquid crawled down the grimy paint like an ugly tear. 2 days. Only 48 hours since that nightmare, and his universe had flipped. CEO title gone, corporate access frozen, bank cards throttled by his father for protection, the limited edition sports car hauled off by creditors. Friends who once flattered him now let calls ring out, then muttered awkward excuses before blocking him. Social media brimmed with ridicule, rivals joyfully carved up the market share his collapse spat out. Deserted by all, tree down monkeys, he finally felt the proverb's edge. Worst of all, Marin. The woman he'd treated as a plaything now stood high above him, someone to fear. KS Capital. Platinum. North American consortiums, each term hammered the shards of his pride. He remembered boasting of his newest projects, offering her jewels and mansions she quietly declined while he preened, recalled hinting she was Casey while she watched him with what might have been pity. A metallic sweetness surged, he coughed and tasted blood. Fury, shame, panic, his body was sounding alarms. No, he couldn't fold. He was Riley, his crown prince. There had to be a comeback. Yes, call father. Decades of he must have left hidden allies, secret funds. He scrambled through the debris for his cracked phone and dialed. The call rang forever. An icy female voice answered, "Hello?" His father's secretary, who'd never liked him. "I need my father." "Put him on." Riley croaked. "Dylan is busy. He asked me to tell you the family is a mess, thanks to you. Stay out of trouble or even we won't be able to protect you." "Protect me? When has he ever?" "He wants to crawl to Mara now? Tell him it's useless, she'll bury us all." "Mind your language, Rowan," she snapped. "Also, the bank is seizing your apartment tomorrow. Be grateful if you still have a roof." "Wah, my apartment? That's mine." Click. Dial tone. Beep, beep, like a funeral march. Riley sagged, phone slipping from his hand. Last hope gone, even his father had abandoned him. Hunger burned his stomach, he hadn't eaten since yesterday. Only a few crumpled singles in his wallet, too little for even takeout. He stumbled out of the mildewed room in search of food, anything to numb the pain. Afternoon sun stabbed his eyes, passers-by ignored the disheveled man weaving along the curb. At a corner store he spent the last of his cash on the cheapest bread and a plastic bottle of bottom-shelf liquor. He shuffled out, instinct starting toward the upscale sushi bar across the street, minimum spend 4 figures, then froze. In the window glass he saw his own wrecked reflection, and inside, servers eyeing him with wary disgust. He jerked back, retreated to the grimy wall, tore open the rock-hard loaf, and washed it down with harsh liquor that seared his empty gut. Once the quinaire who touched only premium ingredients, now gnawing street-level bread. Then humiliation almost snapped his mind. Suddenly brakes screeched beside him. A familiar black Bentley stopped at the curb. Out stepped Italian leather shoes, razor-creased trousers, Jamie, once one of his closest best. Riley's dull eyes lit like flares. "Jamie. You came. Help me." He lunged, clutching Jamie's sleeve. Jamie yanked free, disgust plain, flicking imagined dirt from his cuff. "Rowan? What happened to you?" His tone was revulsion, not concern. "I'm not here for you. I'm picking someone up." From the tiny gallery next door emerged a trendy girl, the newest art scene painter Jamie was courting. Seeing Riley's state, she gasped. Jamie slipped an arm around her waist, voice soft, "Just someone I used to know, ex-Quinn, I guess." "Forget it, bad luck. Car's ready, let's not miss the auction tonight." "Someone I used to know, bad luck." The words skewered what was left of Riley's heart. He watched Jamie ease the girl into the Bentley, climb in, and glide away without another glance. Exhaust fumes washed over him like spit. Riley stood frozen, half-eaten bread in hand, a clown discarded by the world. "Hey, isn't that the quinaire? Serves him right, lost everything. Keep clear, he looks nuts." Whispers swarmed like flies. "Arg." Riley clutched his head, howled, hurled the bread and bottle to the pavement, and slid down the wall, burying his face in his knees. Humiliation, despair, fury, terror, every feeling gnawed at his heart like venomous snakes. He had fallen clean from the clouds into the mire. And this was only the beginning. Serena. Serena. The name carved itself into his bones like a nightmare. 1 week later, Sterling City Arts Center. A high-profile charity auction, hosted by the KS Foundation under KS Capital, was in full swing. Power brokers, A-listers, civic luminaries, everyone who mattered, packed the hall. Flashbulbs blitzed the red carpet, reporters jostled for the perfect shot. This was my first public appearance since the truth of my identity came out, and the symbolism was enormous. 30 minutes before kickoff, my personal glam squad had commandeered the Platinum Tower penthouse all afternoon. When the last brushstroke settled, even jaded Emily blinked in surprise. I'd skipped the over-the-top gowns and chosen an Ellie Saab early fall couture piece instead, a razor-simple, midnight blue silk satin column. No embellishment, just flawless cut and liquid shine tracing cool, regal lines. At my throat hung a tiny diamond pendant, my mother's, and my only jewelry. Makeup stayed sheer, underscoring what nature gave me. My hair was loosely pinned with a few wispy strands grazing my cheeks. I looked in control, yet still 23. CEO, it's time, Emily murmured. I nodded, lifted a silvery minaudière, and left the suite. The stretch Lincoln ghosted to the curb. The moment my Jimmy Choo stilettos touched the carpet, the roar ebbed into stunned silence. Every lens swung to me. Surprise, admiration, awe, curiosity, waves of emotion crashed over me. Chin lifted, I offered a polite, distant smile and glided toward the step and repeat flanked by KS executives. CEO, over here. Miss Vance, any comment on Sterling Corporation's future? CEO, what's tonight's philanthropic goal? I answered none of them, posed for a few frames, then let security usher me inside. The ballroom glittered with champagne and diamonds. Conversation stalled as I entered. People tried to approach, business cards half-raised, but my detail intercepted each attempt without breaking stride. I had one destination, the head table. Halfway there, a flicker in my peripheral vision made me pause. In a dim corner near the restroom corridor stood Riley. He'd tried, his tux was pressed but outdated, hanging loose on a frame that had begun to stoop. A flute of champagne trembled in his hand as he darted glances, hunting anyone willing to talk. No one bit. Former hangers-on suddenly found the ceiling fascinating. When he moved toward a nouveau riche tile magnate he once mocked, the man offered a thin smile and melted away. The chill of social winter was absolute. He sensed my stare and snapped his head around. Our eyes locked. Color drained from his face, champagne sloshed over the rim. Terror, shame, and a last, cringing plea warred in his gaze. His lips parted, no sound, then he stepped back as if I were a predator. I looked through him like glass and walked on. That effortless dismissal stung more than ridicule ever could. I took my seat, the program rolled, speeches, applause, polite nods, but my mind was on the auction. As host, KS Capital needed to set the pace. Bidding stayed brisk. When I paid triple reserve for a contemporary canvas funding rural art classes for children, the room erupted in congratulatory applause. Power move accomplished. During the social hour I rose to meet several prearranged contacts. Riley lurched into my path. Liquid courage, or final desperation, had clearly overridden the last of his pride. His eyes were bloodshot, breath reeking of cognac. Say Serena, he croaked, voice shredded. Haven't you had enough? Conversations died, the DJ's track ended on cue. Every gaze swung back to us. Guards surged forward, I lifted one finger. I wanted to hear the self-destruction. Encouraged, or past caring, he leaned in, loud enough for the front row. I was blind, I was scum, I was garbage. You slapped me, you punished me, he is ashes, I'm the city's joke, will that never be enough? His blood-veined eyes bored into mine. What will it take to end this? Me, beg on his knees? His knees buckled, he started to drop. Silence thickened. His golden boy on his knees, tomorrow's scandal guaranteed. 2 inches from the floor I spoke, quiet, glacial, absolute. Riley, I said, kneeling changes nothing. He froze, half collapsed, ridiculous. My world doesn't shift because you bend yours. I let each word ring clear. Your fall is self-inflicted. Your begging only makes you pitiable. I angled closer, volume dropping to a scalpel whisper. By the way, the dry cleaning bill on that second-hand tux is still unpaid. And how exactly did you pass the invite scan? Shall I have security verify your RSVP? He convulsed, cheeks corpse white, pride incinerated. His legs gave out, not a kneel, a total crumple, leaving him a heap on the marble. I flicked 2 fingers, guards hoisted the hollow shell and escorted him out, mute, swift, final. I smoothed an imaginary wrinkle, re-engaged my polite smile, acknowledged the room's wide-eyed hush with a small nod, and resumed my route. Music restarted, chatter resumed. Yet everyone knew, from tonight, the city had a new compass. Riley, and the era he stood for, was history, nothing more than cocktail party punchline. The charity scandal detonated like a boulder in a pond, rings spreading citywide. Next morning the front pages split down the middle. One side praised KS Capital's dazzling gala and its young, visionary, philanthropic new leader, photo of me mid-paddle. The other side splashed Riley's meltdown under sneering headlines. Former crown prince bounced after failed public kowtow. Riley to roadkill, Serena. Morgan. Public opinion declared total victory, anyone who had ever allied with him sprinted for the exits. Sterling Corp shares nosedived, operations seized, books forensically audited, assets carved up with surgical speed. The empire imploded before lunch. I never asked after Riley again. Emily later mentioned he tried day labor gigs, got himself punched by a foreman, then vanished toward the border with drifters. No confirmation, no trace. I felt neither thrill nor pity, like brushing dust off a shelf. My focus shifted entirely. KS Capital Asia now occupied the CBD's top floor, glass walls commanding the skyline. Calendars swarmed with board briefings, term sheets, integration timelines, press junkets. Acquiring Sterling was the appetizer, the main course meant reorg, asset stripping, culture overhaul, new capex. I relished the adrenaline. Grandpa FaceTimed from overseas, watched me dissect cash flow statements, and simply smiled. He offered no orders, only parables when I hit turbulence. Invitations poured in, trust fund heirs clutching Berluti gifts, patriarchs dangling mergers, suitors intoxicated by the balance sheet. I declined with courteous frost. I needed no alliance to validate my seat, no romance to prove my worth. One bright afternoon I escaped to an out-of-town equestrian club. Habit. When pressure peaks, I gallop until the wind erases the noise. In tailored riding attire I mounted a hot-blooded bay, feeling quivering power beneath the glossy hide. We exploded across the turf, sky wide, heart wider. When I eased to a walk, a familiar baritone drifted over. Miss Vance? Fancy meeting you here. I reined in. Just outside the fence stood Avery, eldest son of the scholarly Gu family, old money wrapped in understated grace. We'd once shared a panel on architectural heritage. He looked campus casual, white Oxford, khakis, wind-ruffled hair. Didn't know you rode, he said, approaching. That's Storm Chaser, only the head coach stays on him without drama. You make it look effortless. Hobby, I replied, dismissing the compliment. I slipped from the saddle and passed the reins to a groom. We strolled the rail, chatting horses, then the upcoming architecture biennale, light, equal, zero mention of Riley, Quinn, or Sterling. He never peered at my crown, only at my eyes. Parting, he handed me a minimalist card, name, studio number. I'm nearby most weekends. If you write again, coffee's on me. I pocketed the card, lips curving. Maybe horizons could hold more than vendettas and ledgers. Still, steering wheel, mine. Marin, half a year since the birthday banquet earthquake. On a mellow autumn afternoon I reclined in the KS Capital penthouse while Emily delivered Sterling Corporation's, now Xing Sterling Group's, final integration report. Non-core assets fully divested, verticals streamlined, new management embedded. Q3 net profit up 230% YOY. The new energy auto park we pitched sealed municipal approval, groundbreaking slated for spring. I arched a brow, expected metrics met, future secured. And Quinn? I asked, sipping a somm. Sam and Emery liquidated residual holdings, including their ancestral house, relocated south to distant relatives. Resources modest, Emily replied. Riley surfaced briefly hauling cement bags at a day labor gig, brawled with a foreman, disappeared 3 months ago. Rumor says border run, no confirmation. Vanished, once almighty prince now smoke on the horizon. Karma in a business suit, nothing more. Close the file, I said, gaze on the skyline glittering like scattered stars. My phone buzzed. Avery had shot a photo of crimson sunset outside his studio window. Caption, caught this blaze, remembered you liked this vantage. Visit soon? I answered with a single word and a smiley, easy, weightless. Night folded over the city. I collected my coat, rode the private elevator to the garage. Home, CEO? The driver asked. I watched neon rivers flow past the glass and smiled. Platinum equestrian. I need to feel the wind again. Thanks for listening. How would you rate this chapter? If you enjoyed it, like, share, and tell us your thoughts below. Subscribe for the next ride. We'll see you soon.